What's going on, you guys? This NWB Productions coming to you live for the one time. We're going to keep it G all the way free, 100% me. What are you doing? So we out here at NWB Productions, and we getting prepared for the summertime, the hottest part of the year. Humidity, 97 degrees, heat index up to 110 degrees every day. You know, just pure D hot. So which ways can you prepare your dogs for the heat? It's so many different ways. Every dog is not made to be inside. Every dog cannot afford to be inside. Every person in general cannot afford to have their dog inside. These things play a role. So how do you keep your dogs cool, comfortable, and relaxed when the summertime comes? Well, one, you want to get their body fat ratio together. You know, of course in the wintertime you feed them real heavy so they can pack up the pounds. But slowly going from spring to summer, you want to transition them from feeding them heavy to light, and maybe have one heavy day. That's what I do. I've been feeding my dogs heavy on Saturday and real light throughout the week, making sure they have a gallon of water to get to. Also, you want your dogs to have a cover, some type of shed. You want them to have some type of house to go in. You want them to have being like cool areas, which areas can be cool and keep them cool through the summer, this hot summer days. You want them to be comfortable to the weather point that the heat does not affect them. Also, when you think about the heat, you able to give them baths and stuff, wet them down and things like that, do different things to keep them hydrated. You also want them to be able to be prepared for the heat. So what you do, you have them outside, let them be outside for about 10, 15 minutes, maybe walk them or whatnot, just so they can get some work in. And you want to slowly build them into more muscle built versus more thick and chunky. I like my dogs thick and chunky, but I know when the summertime comes, I need to let them lose some of that weight. So as they shave and they lose some of that weight and they get a bit more muscular, they tend to be more prepared for the summer days. Now, it ain't I'm going to feed my dogs heavy and then I'm going to just stop feeding them heavy. No, that's not going to solve the problem. What you have to do, you have to literally break down the process of food. Right now, all my dogs have food. Once they run out of that food, I'm going to feed them. But I'm going to feed them basically, if they weigh 100 pounds, and it says to feed them this amount, I'm not going to add incentives. I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm basically going to feed them a little bit less than the amount that the bag said. What this does is it's going to result in them losing some of that fat, and they're going to keep the muscle mass, but they're going to lose some of the fat, because you also want, in this process, you also want to get your dogs working, meaning you want to walk them, let them exercise, let them play amongst each others, and watch that muscle to rib ratio. You don't want your dogs ribs showing, but you don't want your dogs chunky to a point, you know, they are, you know, affected as far as mobility. And when the summer from the winter is a lot cooler, so you want your dogs chunky where they can handle different temperatures, especially if they're more so comfortable outside. You want them to be able to handle when the temperature may drop to, you know, below 40 degrees. Also, outside of that and outside them having shelter, you want, when the summer comes, you want them to be, like I say, more muscular. So it's a process of transferring them from being chunky to more muscular. Now, you're not going to take away from the American Bully appearance. All you're going to do is add a little bit more muscle versus chunkiness to that particular dog. And what that does is, you know, that gets them ready. Now, you don't want them muscular with a point that they have heart problems or breathing problems, or they can't function, or they just tired from standing. You don't want that type of muscular dog. You know, you don't want them to get muscular like that. You want them to be healthy, meaning that they can move, they can jump, they can play, and the heat does not affect them. That's the things that you want in your American Bully come summertime. So loosen up on the pounds, feed them a little bit lighter, give them more water, walk them, let them out, you know, a little bit more, not less per se, but instead of 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, do a little bit less, you know, give them 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then walk them, you know, a mile and a half, and this will slowly build them up to prepare for the extreme when the temperatures varies between night and day. These things are not only essential, but it will help your program grow. My oldest bull is about, I want to say she turns 4 or 5. I had to look at her paperwork. She turns 4 or 5 this summer. And my other bulls, they turn 2. So I have a young program. They succeeded. I never had any problems as far as health and etc. And I've never had any issues when it came to summertime because I knew what to do and how to do it. Now I will keep you informed and let you see overall how these things work throughout my program and how I transition them from chunky to more of a more build muscular light so that they can be ready and prepared for the heat in the summertime because they're gonna eat light. And naturally, a dog eats more lighter during the summertime, so they're gonna eat lighter. The purpose of the pounds, the purpose of heavy feeding them, it's not to pack a bunch of pounds on them, so that they can eat. They can eat. You can skip a day. So you have them fed heavy. You give them just enough food to get through. If you, let's say you have a busy day, or let's say you got to go out of town, or let's say you're not able to tend to them for the next, let's say 2 or 3 days. So you feeding them heavy and giving them gallons of water. What this does, if you have to go out of town or whatever may be the case, they're able to eat and they're able to get the water and the nutrients and things they need to succeed and to sustain. And they don't have, when you come back, their ribs are not showing, they're not over anxious, they're not starving, they're just right. These things will help your program because it's going to be days where you're not able to feed every day. Me personally, I have one skip day. One day where I just make sure they have water and they don't need any food. Most of the time, my bulls, they eat when I do that, the next time I come to feed them, they might eat, they might not. It depends on how heavy they went. Heavy day is a day that you're gonna really get them. You really gonna get their overall what they're capable of doing. You're gonna get their capabilities out of them. Saturday, Wednesday, or Saturday, you're gonna get their capabilities out of them. Those why 2 days out the week. That way you're constantly working. You're not just having a big pause, but you're constantly getting in. Your heavy day is normally on Saturday. And that day particularly is for walking, is for letting them play for hours at a time, for watching their temperature, watching their structure, cleaning it, making sure everything is nice and clean, making sure their water is fixed, making sure their food is straight, making sure those things are in order. See, if you have those things in order and you have a feeding schedule and they get used to the feeding schedule and they transition in the summer, so when they go into the summertime, they're going to eat less naturally and they're still going to have water. That way, when that heat, when it start getting humid, real humid, they are prepared for what the days bring. NWB Productions coming to you live for the one time. We're going to keep it G all the way free, 100% meat. What are you doing? We out here. Yeah.